Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Niner TED Talks. Today we'll be talking about some of the potential issues there are regarding putting private information into AI. In society today, a lot of times there's over-reliance on AI, especially among young people such as students. We have to rely on AI to be a personal tutor, and what happens there is become more accustomed to it and we use it for everyday tasks. For example, what are the dangers you use AI for filling out tax forms? We're going to be talking about this and the potential effects it has. For example, some possible risks it has is you can put your business into AI and there could be some data leakage there. You can put sensitive information like your API keys into AI, and there's a lot of issues there, and we're going to be discussing more about that. I'll hand it off to Ian to discuss more about those issues regarding the risks.
All right. So today I'll be talking about the personal risk of using AI in everyday life. So in personal affairs, let's say you're doing your taxes at home and you want to find out a quick amount of numbers for your tax return, how much you're going to make off this year's return. And you put this number in information that it can be stolen from an AI company like Anthropic or even like ChatGPT's company XAI. They can take that information and just use it however they want, and you wouldn't know what happened to it. And when you have this sort of careless practice with using AI like that, it's not safe for you and for your own personal information. And I'll hand it off to Key for another aspect.
Yes, so I want to talk about the more impactful, not on the individual scale, but on the scale that's larger, on what businesses can be impacted from this. Essentially, really an overlook on privacy and risks. It's when business do want to save costs, they usually resort to using AI for completing tasks. And many of those AI tasks could be involved with sensitive data, such as processing consumer data for a more easier to use, and but also implementing AI to build their online systems. And in that, they could leak company information as well as information of their customers. And AI hasn't really been proven to show that all of these information can be safely stored. And I think that there's a need for more transparency on how AI can store this information, handle this information, and how to safely encrypt those information as well, so that there wouldn't be any information risks. And I
Yeah.
want to hand it back to Chen to talk
Yeah.
more.
Thank you for that, Keeney. And so I think that's a great point of how when we combine using AI for multiple sources, for example, code, healthcare, business, individual, are we always sure where the business or where the information is private, or will that be shared with third parties or people that are using to train the models? So I think it's very important to know where your information is going. And if you're not sure, I think it's very important to stay on the safe side and not put in sensitive information. And even, a lot of, if you ask the AI itself, they ask you don't put sensitive information into this model. And yet we still do it because it's convenient. So it's important to consider, well, even if it's convenient, is it worth the risk of potentially hackers, leakage, or the system getting broken down into? Because a lot of information such as SSN numbers, healthcare records are very crucial to your individuality, and being leaked can have serious consequences. I'll leave it up to Ian to talk more about that.
Yes. So about those things you mentioned before, those kind of information that gets leaked out in the public can be damaging to your personal information and your personal record. Like if your social security number is leaked out to the public, you can basically lose your whole identity in life, and that's not a risk you want to take. So using this AI platforms are just not a good idea. But giving out information, like he said, social security, tax information, any sort of healthcare information. So we do advise you be careful about that kind of stuff. And I hand it back to Chan again.
Yep, thank you guys. Key, you have anything else to add to it?
Yes, so what can you do to prevent those risks? Like Chen said, the AI agents, they usually tell you to not put those informations in. It's crucial that you follow that advice. Another way to prevent this is just don't use AI. And I think unless AI has been proven to be more secure, I think it's best to hold on to those tasks that require sensitive information to humans for processing. And Chen, can you finish us off?
Yep. So thank you, Keith, for that. So I think to lead it off, we can just talk about as society advances to more and more reliant on AI, it's important to consider the potential downsides of over reliance on AI, especially when it comes to personal information like we talked about. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week on Niner TED Talk.